chat box. So thank you both for joining us. I'd like to also thank you for all of your diligence, your hard work in raising these amazing puppies for us. And for all of the counselors there, we are continuing to give you a shout out and thank you so much. Without our counselors, we would be nowhere. Today's topic is one in a series of topics. And our series this week is the prevention series. It's going to be pretty exciting. So, as always, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And I think I'm getting good at this techno stuff, guys. Can you guys see this?
We see it, BJ.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa. So let me just make this a bigger slide for you. So the prevention series, we came up with it together as a team. We thought these would be skills that would help you build on your leader dog making good choices and also on managing your puppy. So without further ado, today's topic is Leave It in the prevention series. And I wanted to give you the topics that are coming up. And this series, we have crates, which Melissa Raymond will address on Thursday. Crates are one of my most favorite, amazing tools ever. I think, how did I ever raise my dogs without a crate? But she will be discussing those and giving you some wonderful information. And your puppy coordinator, Laura Fisher, will be talking about transport. Transport is amazing. It's a tool that can get you from point A to B. And other than that, I will not say any more because she is going to give you some amazing information on transport. So this is what our series is for this week. I hope you do join us. We love to have all of you. We love your questions. And as you can see, that I was for some reason thinking about the swimming pool. So my theme is blue and bubbles today. And the first slide that I showed you was about our topics. This slide is about building good decision-making skills. Now, I always repeat that I take all of this information from your Puppy Raiser manual. So revisit it frequently. You can look all of this back up into your manual. You'll have it all there in more detail. But I wanted to show you this slide because there are two games that you can play with your puppies. One is the calm tethering game. And this is one of our very first sessions that Laura Fisher addressed. And you're going to find that we refer to tethering and that game of tethering very frequently. The other good decision-making skill game is Leave It, and that's what we're going to be going over. Now, around these two bubbles, you'll see a lot of words. The reason I throw those in there is because each of them has something to do with these two games. Now, distractions, there are everywhere for our puppies, sometimes more so and other times not as much. When you do play with any of these games,
Spock asterisk.
And what's my
if you have your microphone on, could you please mute it? Thank you so much. So as we were saying, for distractions, when you do play these games, I'd like you to remember that bring the distractions in after your puppies played this game a while. Now with distractions comes practice and repetition. The more you play these games, the better your puppy's going to get with it. Repetition, you can repeat these throughout the day, but be wary. When I throw in that word time, I want you to be wary that you don't play these games for a long length of period. My recommendation is that between 4 to 5 minutes the first time, not more than that. Sometimes for littler puppies, 2 minutes is more than enough. So not more than 10 minutes. That being said, you can play it frequently throughout the day. I started playing this game with my future leader dog puppy this last Friday, and I didn't get to play it again until today. So I do it a couple times during the day or once a day, but you can repeat throughout the day. As far as distractions, we also have to remember distance. We've talked about that a lot. When there is a distraction, you can give some distance to help your puppy set up for success in avoiding those distractions and reacting to them. Environment, that's very critical. Start in an environment where it's not as distracting. How about choices and habit? Remember, as we raise our puppies, we're going towards the goal that someday maybe they will become a guide dog. Our guide dogs every day make choices. So if we lay this foundation of great decision-making skills and encourage them to make the good choices, that's going to really help them out in their careers. And these two games really do help. Now, habit, choices that we make again and again, they end up becoming habits, whether they're good habits or not so good habits. So that's where I was going with this slide. Now, we've talked about impulse control before, but not only do I like to give definitions, I like to make simple lists for myself when I'm training my puppies. And one of my lists that I make up are, what are some impulse control things I can do? These again are listed in your puppy raiser manual, but these are the exercises that you can do with your puppy. Call them exercises, call them games, but you can do these to help them with that critical impulse control that they will need. Again, I warned you, we're going to see calm tethering a lot. Calm greeting, Melissa did a wonderful job on that. Go to mat, hands-on, hands-off, handler's exam, restraint. Now with restraint, by that I mean, and again, this is explained in your puppy raiser manual, I mean that you gently hold your puppy for a few seconds. And if they can't tolerate you holding, then you build up. You put your hands, it's almost like an extension of the handler's exam, because they have to be ready to be held when they go to the vet. So that's something that you can do as well. Leave it, that's what we're going to talk about today. So these are all impulse control exercises. So let's get to leave it. Leave it is something that has brought discussion, has brought like, oh wow, this is really cool. My puppy can do this. Because when we think about leave it, we think, well, is it really complicated? Not really. It's a very basic game. But this basic game can be transferred throughout the training that you do with your puppy. When you go outdoors, it'll be transferred. And a couple of things I want you to be aware of is that it can be played anywhere. It can be played in any environment, but start out with the environment with the least distractions. So you can do it at home. You could do it in your backyard. You could do it standing outside of Kroger, which I did. You can do it anywhere. You can do it on campus. You can do it in parking lot. So it's an endless variety of environments you can choose from. The other thing is about this game is that it does help, as I said, build good decision-making skills. It's a game that's going to lay that foundation for your puppy, and you'll be able to build on top of this. Now, what's my favorite thing about this game is it goes anywhere. All of these games I've noticed in our puppy raiser manual as I was raising my own puppies and as I'm putting this presentation for you, that these games are not requiring many objects or things for you to have to play them with your puppy. They're very easy. You need your puppy, you need kibble, you need your puppy's collar and leash, and yourself, and that's about it. So those are a couple things to remember. Now, whoa, lots of rules for the game, but there's more detail in the puppy raiser manual. I've condensed this because it's something that it's really not complicated, but I want to make sure that you get it right. So even though this is condensed, please again refer to your manual. You notice how I keep repeating this because that's a wonderful resource. And after 6 dogs, I'm sure there's a lot of raisers out there with many more that they say, hey, I still find stuff in there. So the first rule is what you want to do is, and I do have a video, is in your hand, you place a piece of kibble, make a closed fist. You present it to your puppy. If your puppy sniffs or licks at it or nibbles at it, wait for that moment when your puppy pulls their face away. And I want you to mark with your marker word, yes. And then deliver the treat right to them quickly. Not so they have to come towards the treat, but right to them. You're going to do this a couple of times. You're going to repeat it. You're going to present your hand again and mark yes. Now, when you get to a point where your puppy is getting really good at this, and it's 4 out of 5 times that your puppy can do this, you can add a cue, leave it, when you have this reliability. You could, but we'll talk about more about that cue, leave it in a second. So once you've got your puppy in your boring room, for me, my boring room is my family room. They always hang out there. So once you've moved from that boring room to a new environment, remember, you've got to start from the beginning because this environment might have distractions. So give enough distance, give enough environment setup that your puppy is successful. So you can challenge your puppy by changing the environment. Remember, we talked about the time, that don't do too much of a time period of training or playing this game, but you can increase that time. You can also increase it, the complexity or the challenge, by putting in even tastier treats in your hand. My puppies love cheese. So, all right. I want you to remember that when you are playing this game, look for that moment when your puppy pulls the head away from your fist. When your puppy's moving towards your fist that has the kibble, don't mark that. Wait, even if it's a second or a millisecond where they pull away, that's the piece that you're going to mark and you're going to deliver the treat. Now, I've had puppies that get so excited when they play this game that they start just nipping. So you need to put something less exciting. I've even started with nothing in my hand, and I've put kibble in my other hand. So I start out with 2 fists, and you'll see it in the video. One that's got either kibble or just something rubbed on it and closed, and the other one that has a kibble that my puppy's gonna get. It's up to you how you feel that you can do this successfully. Sometimes people have just given that piece of kibble. For me, I find that when I had that mouthy puppy that kept lunging at my hand, when I put it in my other hand and just kept both hands behind and presented the hand, it was more successful for this puppy. And since then, I've been doing that. We mentioned adding difficulty by changing the environment or using higher value treats. But I want you to remember, please do one at a time. So don't give your puppy a higher value treat and bring them in the backyard where there's squirrels running and everything. Do one piece of that at a time. All right, here we start with a leave it cue. When teaching the leave it cue, you're also teaching the puppy that the presence of food itself is a cue to move away. So I'm going to explain this, and then if there's any questions, I will take them, okay? I promise. So when you teach the leave it cue and you're like, yeah, VJ, my puppy's got the leave it cue down. When I say leave it, my puppy leaves it. But I want you to remember that food itself that's on the floor or on your table or that tissue paper or that leaf or that pine cone, that object itself is the cue to your puppy that, hey, I'm going to let this go. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to get it. I don't need it. That becomes the cue because your puppy should be looking back at you. And that's when you mark yes and you reinforce them. You do not need to use the leave it cue. And the reason I do not use it myself is because when we have our dogs return, they are going to be working and training to become guide dogs. When they are matched with one of our clients are visually impaired or blind, and they cannot see the hamburger or the pine cone or the tissue flying. So your puppies are going to hopefully grow up into confident, good decision-making puppies that make great choices. They're going to see that tissue flying or that hamburger, and that is their cue that no, They're going to keep moving. That's the foundation that you're training your puppies to be at. It is important to mark and reward the behavior of leaving the food, even though you're not using the cue. So this is where it gets confusing. I've had raisers ask me that, you know, VJ, so should I use it or shouldn't I use the leave it? And I tell them you can use leave it, but please try to have your puppy make that choice. If you see your puppy's looking at that hamburger but not getting the hamburger, mark it. Say, yes, good puppy, and give them that treat. Okay? Now, before I start this video, are there any questions about that?
Not initial questions right now in the chat room, VJ, but I think if we give them just a minute or two, we might see some.
So does everyone see this video that's come up? Because I know technology is my special friend at times.
We do see it.
Okay, so I apologize that I have my Christmas pajamas on, but I totally didn't realize it until this video is great. So I said, you know what? In spirit of the pandemic environment, Christmas pajamas will be displayed. This is future leader dog Azir, and as I mentioned earlier, this is his second time playing this game. He's played it on Friday, and I tried very diligently to get volume for everyone, but when I tested this, it didn't work. You will see his paws. You will see my other hand, which is my left hand, that's not presented to him, deliver the treat like I talked about. So let's watch. So that was a yes, and that's with my hand. And he's tilting me. Here's my other dog. So you notice his head does not, it takes time to chew, so I type this back up there. Now that was my last piece, so that's why I just gave it to him from that hand. I hope everyone saw that, and I think it was very easy. Now, I'd like for all of us to remember our goal. And if you can see this slide, this is one of the very first slides I saw, this picture, not slide, when I started raising my dog, my very first puppy. And you can tell that the jacket's older, but it just embodies everything as a puppy raiser I wanted to do. I wanted to have my puppy have that impulse control. I wanted to have my puppy make the choice to stay by me and not pull or lunge towards someone. So I love this picture. This is what our goal is. Now, I'm going to wrap this up by putting this up there, that the next piece of our prevention series is on Thursday, and Melissa Raymond will be talking about crate behaviors. On Saturday is transport with Laura Fisher, and you're going to want to tune in for both of these. They're critical, just like all the other sessions, because we can help you explain and guide to you how you can organize your training and you're working with your future leader dog puppies. So let me see. I am going to stop sharing.
We have some questions.
Okay, that is awesome. I'm going to stop sharing. Can everyone
got some great things, some great questions from. One of them is from Jessica. I think Jessica. She's coming all the way from Missouri, asking us a question here. It appeared you gave him the final treat from the hand that you were having him leave it. Does that ever get confusing for our dogs?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, it's not confusing. You have to think of it this way. I have some raisers that say that, you know, I'm just going to use one hand, VJ, because it's really hard for me to remember how to put my left hand behind. So it's all right. The whole purpose of the Leave It game is to have your puppy make the choice that even though this is present for me, I don't get to take it. But when someone says yes and it's there, opened up, I get to have it. So remember that piece that's making it different is the yes. Okay, so no, but that's a great question.
Another question says, is Azir being rewarded because he isn't going towards the hand?
So that's a good question too. So for the Leave It game, he is being rewarded because he's not going towards the hand. That is correct. He's being rewarded because he's taking the choice not to pull forward. Now, the first time I played this with him, he licked and he tried. But that millisecond where he just pulled back, I marked. And I wish I would have gotten that on video, but his little head just bobbled like, whoa, oh, okay. And I gave it to him. And it took a couple more times. And then he picked up on that game real quick. So yeah, he was doing it because he had already played once.
We have another question from Jamie. Jamie, if you can unmute your microphone if the question's not clear for VJ. It says, do you have any recommendations for a kibble beggar?
Yes, she will sit next to me, especially like throughout the workday, and she'll start whining because she knows I've got the kibble pouch on.
Ah, so I have kibble and food puppies all over too. I just put my pouch away, Jamie.
Okay.
I get really sneaky. I have little tissues with kibble on them that's hidden behind my books, and it's gotten to me because I've got 4 dogs at home, and they all know when that pouch comes on, oh, the good stuff's coming. So that's a great question. I take my pouch off, I train with them, and then I take it off and I set it to the side, and I have a secret stash somewhere where they don't know. I'm very guilty of having my own secret stash. So I think for me, that was no brainer. I have my secret stash of chocolate. So for these dogs, it was no brainer for me. I just either have a tissue or a little cup. Usually it's a disposable cup because I forget where I stash them here and there. But take that pouch off, okay, and get your own little secret stash. So then your kibble thief won't, or your kibble, how can we say your kibble voyeur will not. And I have a puppy that stares too. Does your puppy stare?
Oh yeah, she gives me the
okay. Yeah. So you put that kibble and that stare together, and you got a really powerful combination. But that's a great question. I hope that helped, Jamie.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
VJ, we have another great question.
Okay.
This is from Allison, Pack, and Hannah, and they say hello. They want to know how you keep puppies from jumping up on the sofa or counter surfing. It says something that they struggle with and have tried everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, some puppies are more vertical, and they just need to know. So how do you prevent it is by never having anything on there and making all the great, wonderful things happen on the floor. The floor is a magnificent place. Up high and anywhere that's elevated is just simply boring. Have nothing. I'm talking no tissue, no wrappers, no surf. I had an experience with my own personal dogs that they just like to put their paws up. And this was when he was very young. And oh my gosh, I got so worried because he's golden and half Great Dane. So you can imagine this young guy was going to be able to reach my whole home wherever he wanted. So even the tiniest little bit of anything, get it off of your counters, off of your tables, and just put it away. And then give him something or her something. I forgot. Is it a girl? But anyway, you want to. You want to make the good stuff happen down, like maybe give them a food toy, and maybe give them their, puzzle toy, maybe give them, chew toy. Anything that's wonderful happens down, and nothing else up above. It's all boring. It's not.
Clear the Kleenex. Get the Kleenex out.
Yes.
Okay, that's always a a
Okay.
real desirable thing. I don't know
But
why.
that's a good question, Allison and
Okay.
Hannah. It's good to see you guys.
Okay, good to see you too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Stay safe.
Yeah,
You
you too,
too.
BJ.
Okay, and I see Sandy has a really good comment. She says that we were always taught to never give the treat from the hand it was in. So to be clear, we are now saying it is okay to feed from the hand the food was presented in. That's a really good point, Sandy. And when you read the puppy raiser manual, it just says a fist and put the treat in your hand. I was taught that just wait for that head to pull away. And as I started working with the prisoners in the correctional facilities, these razors, they're treat pouches, and then the two hands, and then holding it. It was really hard for them to bring in the second hand. And that's when we started working on just one hand. And their timing had to be really good. So we have used one hand with our razors in the prison. So. But I think that's a wonderful point. That's something that we can discuss. The thing with any of these exercises and games, the more we talk amongst ourselves and bring out points that are valid and should be addressed, we can tweak these games and exercises. So please share.
VJ, I have a question.
Of course. How are you doing?
Okay, this is Mark, and I wonder, when would you put the treat onto the floor and ask the dog to leave it? For example, a client might drop a pill on the floor, and you don't want the dog to go and snatch up that pill.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's
Just an idea.
No, that's a wonderful question. In fact, you talked about pills. I had that happen to me, and I had to say that leave it, even though I use it sparingly. But when do you put that on the floor? Remember, the floor is another environment. It's another distraction. So I would transfer it to the floor once you have a puppy that's pretty confident in your fist. And I would give distance. So for example, when I was walking Azir today, I don't know why, he likes to eat dandelions. And I'm like, this is going to be an issue. He's going to get an upset tummy, and, let's start doing something. So I started working with the dandelions, and I started first in my hand, and then I transferred it onto my driveway. And then I just threw them as I had him tethered. So I'm sharing this with you so you can see how for any of these exercises and impulse control games, you want to break it down. So before we move anything on the ground, and you're correct, that's a scenario that is definitely going to occur in some form, whether it's a pill, or maybe it's a raisin, or maybe it's something else that's harmful for our puppies when they become dogs. So that has to be addressed, but do it after you have laid that foundation with your fist. And I would do it in different environments, and then start with a boring environment and putting that kibble down on the ground. Did that help?
Yes, it did. You want to build up a bank account with it in your fist before you actually put it on the ground.
Yeah, very well put. Thank you.
BJ, at this time, I don't see any other questions in the chat room unless anybody has any that they want to verbalize. Oh, actually, you know what? Dorothy O'Connor just popped up a question. She said, will drop or give be addressed in another session, just in case they don't have something? Thank you.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea, Dorothy. We'll consider that. The coordinators and I, we brainstorm about ideas, and I really appreciate you giving us one more. Drop and give are not addressed in our puppy raiser manual, but you know what? We can talk about them. We can address it in some form if we have time. We're trying to go through the skills that are in the manual and that are a requirement and that will help. So, but I appreciate that. I'll talk with the other coordinators. That's a great idea.
I believe that's it for right now.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope to have you all join again on Thursday. We really appreciate your dedication, your time, your commitment. And please, please call your counselors if you need any guidance, if you need any help, or if you just want to, chit chat about your puppy, call them. They're there for you. Email them if you can't call them. And if you have anything that we can help you out with, please, please contact us at puppydepartment.org. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.